Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm getting better at this not screaming into the microphone thing. It's Thursday, October 25th, 2019. My name's Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon right across from me.
You kind of just did it right there. You kind of just...
I see. I get
right
excited.
Across from me. What's up, bro?
I was like, what did I even say before that? I said it so fast.
Yeah, you're too busy right now.
Yep.
Screaming into the microphone, which you told me that you wanted to stop doing.
So today, there is a football game on tonight. It's gross. More importantly, it's Halloween.
It is Halloween.
It's Halloween. So we'll do a little bit something I'll surprise you with before we start the news segment. But before we get into that, we're gonna break down Week 8, discuss our starts and sits of the week, and do some matchup breakdowns. Before we get into the news, check out the website. Check out our website at thefantasychampions.com. Go to Facebook and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thefantasychampions. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at the FFChamps on Twitter, at the Fantasy Champions on Instagram. Subscribe wherever you listen. Be sure to click the bell on YouTube for notifications. Leave a review and share this podcast with your friendonies. So I want to do a little quick candy mock draft.
What the?
3 rounds. Rapid fire.
Okay.
I don't even have a pencil, but you can't take my candies. So on Halloween, when you were a child and you put the sheet over your head and cut some holes in it and called yourself a ghost.
I actually, you know what I did?
Oh no.
I took a Patriots helmet.
Okay.
And then I just put on a random jersey and then just said I was that player that I had. So
dude, that's a little too easy.
Yeah, and I did it like every year for 3 years just so I could get candy.
My parents went ham on me one year and made me a cowboy, but they straight drew on beard.
Oh.
Yeah, they went kind of crazy.
Your parents had more fun than you, that sounds like.
Yeah, so it's interesting. But who wants to go first? What do we want to do here?
Well, you said rapid fire. I have to think about this, though. This is like... Okay,
you get 5 seconds.
So, okay, my first pick, I think, is the obvious one. I think it's a Reese's. Reese's Cup. I knew that. I feel like that's the obvious one, right? You got... It's like it's like taken, at the time, Barkley was the obvious first overall pick. I think Reese's is the obvious first overall pick here. It's just a consensus.
Now that you took Reese's.
You gotta scratch that off the board. I'm thinking of my next pick right now because there's a lot on the board.
I'm trying to think not personally, but I'm going to go personal.
Well, that's what, you should go personal. Go personal.
Yeah, that's true. It's just me, but I always like to get Snickers.
Okay, that's a good one. That's an underrated good one. Okay.
Yeah, it's
a really good one.
It's nutty. It's chocolatey. It's perfect. But I would rather have Reese's.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk trades after.
I took Zeke.
I might take 2 Snickers for Reese's. I would do that deal.
I'll give you dots.
All right, is this a hot take of a pick?
Okay.
I'm a big Skittles guy.
Oh, see, I don't.
Me and Marshall.
You could have waited 3 rounds for that one. You could have picked them up off the waiver wire.
I said it was a hot take. Okay. I'm a big Skittles guy.
You're hoping for a breakout.
I don't know why.
Is that what you?
Not as much anymore, but especially when I was younger and I was trick or treating. Because Skittles is just like pure sugar. So
they really aren't that bad, but the last. It's like the last candy that I kind of look for.
Make your next pick, and then I got my last one.
I'm gonna say Sour Patch.
Okay, that's another good one.
I'm saving. I'm waiting on one and hoping that you don't say it. So
number 3 for me. I don't think this is yours. It's peanut M&Ms.
No.
Okay.
Like the Reese's peanut butter. Does that fall under Reese's?
No. Peanut butter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, see, that's a good one.
Peanut M&Ms. Sorry.
I'm over here drafting Sour Patch before peanut M&Ms.
Yeah, peanut M&Ms is probably number 3.
And I'll with my last pick, I'll take Butterfingers.
Oh, another not bad.
See, we don't pick the lame candy. So what's left on the waiver wire
Kit Kat? That's probably number 1.
Is Dots.
Oh, no. You can have that.
Smarties.
Okay,
Smarties
that's like a very like throw this in the bag.
Now,
candy.
what candy did you get when you were a kid, and just completely throw away or give it to your parents? Because
for me, it was anything with like, what's the candy with coconut? What is it? I hated coconut.
Wait a minute, you don't like Mounds?
Yeah.
Or what
Almond Joy?
Almond Joys and Mounds?
Couldn't stand those.
Yeah, I'll eat those. My wife loves those.
I mean, now that I'm older, it's not as bad. But when I was younger, I saw like people would throw it in my bag, and I would just like throw it right at my dad or something. Would not stand those.
Final question before we get into the news.
Okay.
The candy you were most afraid was poisoned.
That's a crazy one. Gosh, I don't know. We always thought. I mean, this could be a little weird.
Yeah.
Me and my family, like my cousins.
Oh, you were the people
family.
Poisoning candy. For
No. Like me and my like other little kid cousins. We were all like little kids.
Yeah.
We used to go in one of their rooms. We'd all like trade candy, and we always thought that like the Sour Patch actually, or anything with like coated on it with like sugar or something. We thought that could have been like, something with poison.
I for some reason always thought the Milk Duds were poisoned. I don't even know how you poison
that's a weird
Milk
one.
Dud.
I don't know. Yeah,
But I get the boxes of Milk Duds
and you would just thought
I just looked at them and I went, "Who's gonna eat these?" Funny thing is, I gave them all to my dad. So
that's fun. When you're a kid, you think
if they're poison,
let's give them my dad.
Give them my parents right now.
That's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
As long as it's not me.
Yeah. Let's talk about some news.
Okay, let's go to
fantasy football because we're a fantasy football podcast.
I don't know. Halloween podcast is pretty cool.
Yeah, we probably could have talked the whole episode on freaking candy.
We could go costumes too, and we could.
Oh yeah.
Go right into it.
Oh yeah. Joe Flacco could be out as long as 5 to 6 weeks. They are saying that, and I thought I put this in the notes. 5 to 6 weeks. Drew Lock, the rookie quarterback that they draft. I am surprised watching the NFL draft, and then sitting there and leaving the NFL draft. If you told me that there were going to be, let's see, I think Kyler Murray has started. Dwayne Haskins hasn't started, but he's played.
I think he's supposed to. I mean, you might get into the news, but
what is it for? I can't remember. There's like 3 or 4 guys. Gardner Minshew one would ever pick that.
Nobody would have guessed that.
There was one more guy, Daniel Jones. So it's like, and now we might have Drew Lock and another guy, Ryan Finley, who we'll talk about a little bit later. A 6th starting quarterback. That's crazy.
I mean, that actually does happen a lot.
Yeah.
At least to get like 1 or 2 starts.
Yeah.
Maybe not 6. That's a lot, but there'll always be like 3 or 4 that at least gets a single start.
Now, this is the reason why I bring this up is not because Joe Flacco has any kind of indication or situational effect on your fantasy team because you don't have him as your quarterback, I hope. But he does affect Courtland Sutton a lot. If you put, I don't even know who's starting at quarterback for them. It's not Drew Lock because he hasn't been cleared yet.
Drew Lock's not going to come back for another week or 2. So
so if they want to play him,
I think they probably will.
Yeah,
but
anyway, without Joe Flacco as the starting quarterback, does it concern you at all?
Yes.
Yeah, because we've seen I was thinking about that earlier this week. We've seen the effects of a lot of people will be like, well, Joe Flacco wasn't that good anyway, so another quarterback coming in won't affect Courtland Sutton. Well, I mean, I'm not saying Ben Roethlisberger was bad, but we saw the effect of taking a downgrade from a reasonably decent starter in the NFL. Like he could start for more than just this team.
When Drew Lock plays, I mean, that could change it. Because if Drew Lock is decent and because if Drew Lock's a similar quarterback to Joe Flacco, where he likes the vertical game,
it just
the deep ball, which is kind of plays into Courtland Sutton,
right?
So that could work, but we have to see it. And then also the guy they're starting right now is just, if I have Sutton, I'm very nervous about him.
Yeah. James Conner is being evaluated and will be limited to start the week. He had a shoulder injury on Sunday. This is the issue with James Conner, which is why me personally, like coming into the year, now obviously he had a terrible start to the year, and it didn't really help that he lost Ben Roethlisberger, which kind of affects a lot. Like everyone's like, oh my God, James Conner and Juju are busts. Technically speaking, yes, they are busts, but not
James
really
Conner,
at
though,
their fault. But James Conner, where is he ranked right now?
It's top 10, I think.
So I thought that James Conner was going to get the work that Le'Veon Bell got. And I haven't really...
He's number 9.
I haven't really done a lot of research, but I felt like if if James Conner got that workload, he would actually end up being a top 7, top 6 back this year. But I ranked him like 10 because of this very thing. He gets injured so much.
Yeah, he's probably going to finish around 9 or 10. So
yeah, he'll probably finish 9 or 10. But what you really need to do is go listen to our Tuesday show. And if Jalen Samuels is still on your waiver wire, you need to pick him up.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin said earlier this week that he is ready to go. So he's ready to fly this Sunday. That means that Benny Snell is going to take a back seat. And if James Conner does not play, Jalen Samuels is a absolutely awesome play this week. Who did they play? Before
Colts, I think?
Really dive into
Colts.
that. That's an all right matchup.
Yeah.
But they dump it off to the backs a lot, and Jalen Samuels is a great pass-getting back.
Yep.
The Bengals are benching Andy Dalton on his birthday. The man got told on his birthday that he wasn't going to be the starting quarterback anymore.
Happy birthday.
It was a report came out today that Andy Dalton's team, his managers and himself were pretty upset that they told him a couple hours before the trade deadline because he probably would have asked for a trade had he known. And he's not bad, so it's not like he's not good either. But in a good offense, he might actually work.
Like, I don't like Andy Dalton. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks in this league that are probably better than Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
However, if you think the Bengals not winning a game this season has been all on his shoulders, I mean, you got to watch some more Bengals games.
Yeah, it's not.
The play calling hasn't been great. The offensive line is the worst in the league.
They just realized
AJ Green hasn't played a game yet. Their defense isn't that great. Like, there's a lot of problems with that team.
I think they just realized we're 0-8. We don't have a chance, and we might as well
Let's just see what we have.
See what we have in Ryan Finley. So Finley's going to start this week. This really kills any value that you had left in Tyler Boyd. Yeah. So I would feel don't drop him, but I mean if you were starting him on a week to week, I don't know why you were, but if you were starting him at least in your flex, you kind of have a bad start now, and it'll be a similar situation to Juju.
Yeah, I mean he's Boyd the last 4 weeks has not. I mean he had 23, and then he had in half PPR he had 23, then 2, 6, and 10, but his targets during that time was 14, 7, 14, and 9.
Yeah,
like he has gotten so many targets. His only problem is he's had 1 touchdown all year, and now with Andy Dalton on the bench, he might finish the season with 1 touchdown. Honestly,
yeah. That's so unfortunate. I did want to note this is not in our notes, but Trent Williams today went through his normal physical, passed, then went put his uniform on, went to do the physical portion of and he failed.
Wow.
So he's an offensive lineman that isn't ready for play, and they wanted a first-round pick and something else for him.
And he hasn't played. I mean, that's obviously not surprising. He hasn't played this season.
He's not going to play.
Yeah.
Well, obviously now he's not going to play, but he came back to get himself back into shape so that when he goes and tries to...
Oh, and like the offseason?
Yeah. Because he said he wants to be traded this offseason. So, David Johnson did not practice. He is questionable, which is surprising.
That's so weird.
He isn't expected to play tonight, though. I would not.
The David Johnson effect has been interesting.
Yeah,
to say the least. The whole situation's been odd.
So with Chase Edmonds out, more or less, he's a game time decision is what they're calling him. But he's going to be out, and David Johnson
heard
probably
that he's out.
Yeah. But I would think they're saying that they're going to go RBBC, which translates to we're going to give Kenyon Drake a lot of work, and we're trying to trick you into believing otherwise. This is from the same head coach that said they were sticking with Josh Rosen and then drafted Kyler Murray. Like, I don't believe for a second they're not going to play Kenyon Drake. They said he's going to get some snaps. I was like, okay. We'll see. You're going to really run with Zach Zenner?
50.
Yeah. So San Francisco is going to completely destroy that team.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Brandon Cooks is visiting a concussion specialist in Pittsburgh. He had another concussion this week. I believe that's his 4th on the season.
Oh, gosh.
So, I mean, not on the...
If that was in the season, that
not 4th on the season, that would be bad. His 4th concussion of his career. Yeah. I believe it's 4 years in a row now. This is getting to the point where he's going to have some trouble.
Yeah.
Continue. Like, I think there's a limit on concussions. Am I wrong?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay. But the Lions and the Falcons talked, quote, at length, unquote, about a Devonta Freeman trade ahead of the Tuesday deadline. Now, that would have not been a bad trade.
No, that wouldn't have been bad.
But at this point, I'm amazed Dan Quinn's still the head coach, and I'm amazed that they've held on. Like the only
won't be
the only piece that you should be holding on to at this point. Like I would go full Ito Smith at this point.
If you were the Falcons, would you like totally rebuild?
I don't think you have to because their offensive line it's okay. I mean, it's not like you add a few pieces to the offensive line. You have an amazing one. Like your offense is good. It's just you focus so much offensively that you kind of just How much did they just pay Julio?
Oh, the most in the league. I think if I was the Falcons, I would probably trade Freeman and then use the picks on offensive line and defense.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Because
their defense also needs a lot of work.
That would have been a great move for the Lions, though. It doesn't really matter at this point because the deadline was extremely boring.
Yeah,
I reloaded a bunch, and I was hoping Tyler Eifert to the Patriots would happen. And the sucky part is that the waivers in our league go through Tuesday night, so everyone would have known where guys were going. So nobody moved offensively outside of Kenyon Drake. AJ Green said he wants to be a Bengal long term and is open to a contract extension. Interesting information for AJ Green. Deshaun Jackson finally participated in individual drills.
Wow, that's great to know since originally he was week to week in week 2.
Yeah, week to week as in an 8-week injury. I don't know when he's going to come back, but when he does, that opens up opportunities for Elshon Jeffrey, and I think that whole offense, really.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders' shoulder did not practice Wednesday. He injured his shoulder in the game on Sunday. We talked about that a little bit on Tuesday. And then Sterling Shepard also, I believe, had a concussion, and he shed his no-contact jersey at practice. So he's had a concussion for, 4 weeks now?
Pretty much.
So he is actually going to come back this week is what that kind of tells me. But we'll see. O.J. Howard remained sidelined at Wednesday's practice with a hamstring injury. Sam Darnold had a thumb injury. He's participating fully in practice again to prepare for the Dolphins. So he should be okay. Marquise Brown returned to practice Wednesday. He's been out for a couple weeks. And Curtis Samuel was sidelined from Wednesday's practice. So keep an eye on some of those guys. I'm going to say if you have any Cardinals, just be safe and sit them now.
Probably, yeah.
Don't worry about it. So let's talk about some Week 8 matchups. Let's start with the Jets at the Dolphins at 1 o'clock on Sunday. 40.5 point over-under. We have Darnold against the Miami Dolphins. Is he a start for you?
This is so disgusting because the last 2 weeks he's had 0 points.
It's such a gross start.
In a really deep league, I think he should be a streaming option.
Yeah, I would say
against the Dolphins.
He's an okay streaming option against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
My goodness. What you expected the Jets to be. Now, I didn't anticipate them to be great at all. Like I thought they would at least be 500, and they can still get to that, but they're 1-6 right now, and they're not too far off from Miami.
Yeah,
they're tanking for Tua, and they're just going to move on from Darnold. I would start Darnold this week. He's had a rough go about it the last 2 games. He came into the Patriots game with 1 pick on the year.
Oh,
and he left last week's game with 8 interceptions. So
that's terrible.
I mean, it's a very,
one game killed him.
It's a very gross start. If everyone in your league during the waiver wire period, because it's bye weeks, so we're at this point where quarterbacks in your league are getting picked up off the waiver wire that might be great streaming options. I was sniped last week on Matt Stafford, and it kind of didn't kill me, but I had to start Kirk Cousins, and I got 11 points. So Darnold is a good start if you need him and you have nothing left. Fitzmagic.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Oh, 12-team, 2-quarterback league.
Well, Fitzmagic's got to be in there.
So there's 24 quarterbacks.
Yeah, that means.
Am I starting?
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is not on your waiver. Is on your waiver wire probably.
Is he going
12-team, 2-quarterback league?
He is. Will he finish as a top 20 quarterback this week?
Yeah, probably.
The Jets.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's not hard to do. What is that? What is that going to be? At least like 14 points.
Yeah. Can he get me 14 to 15 points this week?
Yeah, I would say yes. I had him in a dynasty league and I traded him.
That was a smart move.
Yeah, I was like, I took over a dynasty team and I was like, why did this clown shoe even have Ryan Fitzpatrick? His other option was Josh Rosen too. I'm like, oh, so you stack? You stack the quarterbacks for the Miami Dolphins?
Oh boy, I'm sorry. That's you.
So Le'Veon Bell is a start.
Yeah.
Mark, just a note on Le'Veon Bell. Do you think he's going to finally start playing well at this point? From here until the end of the year,
I think he will. But if he doesn't have a good week this week, I've completely given up on him.
Yep. Mark Walton is probably picked up in your league against Miami. I mean, against New York. This is not a bad matchup for him to succeed.
It's not terrible, but I'm still probably.
If you have bye weeks and you're desperate and you need a flex, Walton's not a bad play.
Yeah, exactly.
But Balaj started last week, had 4 carries. Mark Walton had I think 70% of the work, even though he didn't start. So the Miami Dolphins are still playing idiotic games right now. But Parker, Preston Williams, any of the Dolphins? No. Besides any receivers for the Dolphins?
You know my drill.
Robbie Anderson, Jamison Crowder. Are you starting either of them?
No. At this point,
I might start Jamison Crowder in my flex.
Okay.
If you need it, or you need a wide receiver. Let's move on to. Did we skip anyone? I'm skipping. Herndon might start this week.
I believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Vikings at Chiefs, 59.5. Oh, actually, it's 49.
I was going to say 59.5.
I saw Chiefs, and I just connected 59.5, and I was like, let's go. So this is going to be a high-scoring game. I'm actually excited to see what this does to the Vikings offense because they're actually going to have to throw the football. Anybody, regardless of whether your name is Patrick Mahomes or Matt Moore, that offense is going to be relatively decent. So what did they score last week? 32 points?
Did they score 32?
Something like that.
You sure?
They might have scored. Last I saw was.
They scored 24.
24, yeah. So they were able to move the ball.
They weren't terrible.
The game. But they were able to move the ball against the Green Bay Packers secondary. That was pretty good. So I'm going to say, obviously, Matt Moore is not a start. Mahomes did practice, but he's not expected to come back this week. Week 10 is his expected return date. Kirk Cousins against Kansas City. Do you like that or no?
I don't mind it. On the road against Kansas City is kind of tough, but I don't mind that.
Yeah. I'll take Kirk Cousins as a streaming option. If you picked him up last week, don't drop him just yet. If you need a quarterback to stream, I'd throw him in there. Dalvin Cook start. LaShawn McCoy against the Vikings Vikings defense is a sit. If you still have Damian Williams, what are you doing? He actually didn't have a bad week last week.
Really? How many points?
12.
Oh, there you go.
That was a cute little game. Tyreek Hill is a start. Watkins is now fully back. Do you want to play him at all?
Probably not.
What about Mecole Hardman?
Probably not.
Okay. And then Kelsey's a start.
Yeah.
Diggs and Thielen. If Thielen plays, which I expect him to, he's probably playing, right?
Yes, to my knowledge.
Diggs and Thielen are both goes. You have to start them.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't know if you have any more thoughts on that game.
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Titans and Panthers, 41.5 point over under. Kyle Allen is a never again start, even though they are 4-1 with him as a quarterback. I mean, as a team. In fantasy football, that's not a great look.
He hasn't been great. I mean, it's a good look, but it has nothing to do with fantasy.
Yeah.
What is his?
Now, Ryan Tannehill against Carolina. Tannehill's been good in the last couple weeks, but this is a week where you probably should sit Ryan Tannehill. He's in Carolina. Yeah. Carolina's defense has been relatively good this year, so especially against the pass. Except last week, yeah. I would sit Ryan Tannehill this week, and then obviously don't start Kyle Allen. Derrick Henry against Carolina Panthers defense. At this point, you kind of have to start him.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry is kind of a must start.
He's a touchdown dependent
Not a great match.
He's a touchdown-dependent running back, and if he can get it into the end zone, then great news for him. But and his owners. But I don't see much else from him.
Carolina actually ranks 27th against the run this year. They're the fifth against the pass.
Roll it.
But 27th against the run.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, obviously a must start. Do you like DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel anymore?
Not really.
Yeah.
Week to week.
Week to week against good matchups, but Titans, no. Greg Olsen, we'll talk about later. Corey Davis and A.J. Brown have been a hot button topic in the fantasy football community. I'm an A.J. Brown guy. You're a Corey Davis guy. So the split goes right into this podcast. Do you want to start either one of these guys?
Never.
Okay, I agree. Not against Carolina. And
yeah.
Maybe if you need him. Now, Jonnu Smith has been relatively decent in the last couple weeks. Some people are going to be like, should I start Jonnu Smith? No. Stop.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Let's move on to Redskins at Bills. 37.5 point over under. Keenum, sit. Josh Allen against Washington is a decent play, but he hasn't been fantastic this year. The rushing upside that we thought we might get from him has just not been there. So I don't know if you are excited about Josh Allen.
I actually think he should be a start this week, though.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But hold your breath.
Yeah.
Frank or Devin Singletary. Singletary is slowly getting work. He had 12 points last week. He's been in after coming back from his injury. He was like 7 rushes for 26 yards, and he did not have a great week. And I guarantee you, he was probably dropped in a few leagues.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But Singletary came back, had 12 points.
He still didn't have a lot of touches.
Until Frank Gore is not there, I don't think Singletary is going to be a great play for anybody. And rest of season, looking at his schedule, he has some good matchups. He has some bad matchups. It's mediocre, but when you get to the playoffs, the playoff matchups are just not there for him. So the excitement for me has kind of simmered down until 2020 for Devin Singletary. But quick question. Singletary, what round do you want to draft him? Early 2020 draft question.
I mean, we have, if Frank Gore is retired and the backfield stays the same, so it's TJ Yeldon and Devin Singletary, he should be like a third or fourth round pick.
Well, I was going to say a fifth or sixth.
Okay.
We'll see where that goes. Do you like Frank Gore against Washington this week?
No, not really. Well,
Singletary maybe? No.
I think one of those, if you have one of those two guys, because
if you need
don't
them,
have both. Yeah,
if you need them.
It's kind of like if you have bye weeks. Like in my situation, in my league, I have Devin Singletary, but I also have Todd Gurley and Julio Jones on buys. Yeah. So I might end up using him as a flex.
I'm going to say sit Adrian Peterson, Chris Thompson, and whoever else plays. I don't know if Chris Thompson's going to play this week, but McLaren, I would say sit. And Jordan Reed is out again, and they have this guy, Sprinkle. Don't even know what his first name is. Sprinkle. Yeah, and then on the other side, John Brown, Cole Beasley against Washington. Both are reasonable plays.
Yeah, I think
you can start them both.
Yeah.
And if you desperately need a tight end, Dawson Knox is also available.
Desperate.
Buccaneers at Seahawks. Now, this is one of the highest scoring games of the week. Should be a relatively decent game. Do you like Jameis Winston against the Washington Redskins? Tampa Bay, Seattle Seahawks. Wow. Completely butchered that. Man, this guy would be so good right now if he didn't throw 12 picks.
Yeah, but that's what people have been saying.
Winston's going to throw for 4,500 yards and like friggin' 30 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And like
with a
25 interceptions. This is going to be an Eli Manning season.
And a 50. That's the problem
where
with
he throws 25
Winston
interceptions.
That's his season every season.
Yeah. He's been a lot better at decision making, but he's had two 4 interception games really boost that total. Do you like him against Seattle at all?
Not really.
Yeah, me neither. Russell Wilson this is probably, if I had to pick a quarterback start of the week, this is it right here. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Russell Wilson's probably going to have to throw the football a lot. And he's going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pass defense, which has been awful, and their run defense is good. So Chris Carson probably not going to have the greatest week, but Russell Wilson will have I think he's going to get upwards of 30. So that's what you can expect.
I could easily see a 30-point week from Wilson.
Like I said, Chris Carson, a little bit concerning.
He's still an obvious start.
He's still an obvious start, but it's concerning. Ronald Jones and Peyton Barber have been the conundrum of the fantasy season. I saw somebody tweet, and I retweeted it, that Ronald Jones and Peyton Barber is basically just poor man's Todd Gurley and Darrell Henderson. It's essentially what that is.
It is a little bit.
So I'm not starting either one of these guys against the Seahawks defense.
Talk about a split backfield. There's only 5 carries that separates the two of these guys for the whole season.
Yeah. It's so weird, too, because Ronald Jones against Carolina for some reason only got 4 carries. He had 12 or more carries in every single game this year, except for the 2 games against Carolina. And I don't know if that was just game plan where they were like, oh, we got to go with a gritty big back that's going to run it right up the middle. I don't understand. But anyway, Godwin and Mike Evans continue their duel. I told you this earlier today. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are both in the top 5 of wide receivers right now. And the rest of the top 5 have all played one more game than them.
So, Jameis Winston has 14 touchdown passes this season.
Yeah. And it's evenly split.
6 has gone to Chris Godwin. 6 have gone to Mike Evans. That's 12 of his 14. And then the other 2 are Cameron Brate. He's only thrown to 3 different guys.
That's ridiculous.
That's insane.
Both of them are starts this week.
I mean, you look at the
Seattle.
Like Russell Wilson. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
17 touchdown passes this year. His 2 top receivers, Tyler Lockett has 4. DK Metcalf has 4.
Right.
And then Moore has 1. So that's just 9 touchdowns right there. He still has another 8.
That's
between
insane.
other guys, which is how it should be. But Winston is just he throws to 3 different guys. It's really only 2.
He loves Cameron Brate for some reason. Yeah, I would start both Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. I would temper expectations. This, to me, screams bad game for Mike Evans and good game for Chris Godwin.
Okay.
Not because I'm a Chris Godwin owner, but because Chris Godwin plays in the slot and Mike Evans plays on the outside. So Mike Evans is going to be pretty much dominated by the Seattle Seahawks secondary on the outside. And what does Jameis Winston do? When he doesn't have anyone to throw to on the outside, he goes to his little blanket of fun, which is Chris Godwin. So I'm going to say Chris Godwin is a great start this week. But it's a tough matchup, so don't expect like 30 points from either one of these guys, which is what's been happening. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. Metcalf has had a interesting showing this year. He's not been bad.
No.
He actually shows
he
shows a lot of promise, and he's one of the most exciting players for me in 2020. But for right now, I don't like he's worth owning, but I don't want to start him at all. No. Tyler Lockett week to week must start.
Yeah.
So I would say against Tampa, yeah, go for it. And then I don't know if you want to talk about any of the tight ends in this game.
No, they're both. Right, hey, OJ Howard does not have if you would have told me in August that OJ Howard would be completely healthy and play in every game and would not have a touchdown through 8 weeks.
Yep.
I would have called you crazy.
Yeah, I would have called me crazy. This is a crazy thought. Lions at Raiders, 50.5 point over under. Matt Stafford against Oakland. Oakland's pass defense has been better than it was last year, but still bad.
Yeah.
So Matt Stafford, this is another great week for Matt Stafford. You are running out of weeks to stream Matthew Stafford. Do not pick him up and expect him to be good because the rest of season, he's going to be garbage. But he has a couple of easier matchups in the next couple of weeks that are streamable. But
he might slide into like the top 6 in quarterbacks.
Accidentally.
For total points. And that's when you should trade him.
Yeah, but great streaming option against Oakland. You like this week Derek Carr against the Detroit Lions because it's probably going to be a high-scoring affair.
I do. I don't think Derek Carr is going to go out and score 30.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're desperate for a quarterback streaming option, I think Carr is in line for a 20-point week.
All right, so what do you do about the backfield situation of Trey Carson, Ty Johnson, and J.D. McKissick?
What I do is I pick it up and throw it in the garbage.
I actually think Ty Johnson's probably going to get, at some point, the majority of the reps. I'm surprised they didn't go out and try to
I think eventually they might do that, but even if they do, they're still going to use the other 2 guys.
Like, something's going to drop in the next couple weeks concerning.
You know how the 49ers this past week used, I think, Coleman had 11 carries. Matt Breida had 9. And then who's the other guy?
Yeah, but Kyle Shanahan isn't the offensive coordinator.
I know, but the Lions.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The Lions are gonna pretty much be doing that.
Yeah, it's gonna
with
be
a much worse.
If you had to start
game.
one, I would say Ty Johnson would probably be
I
that
still
guy.
probably would too, but it's
Oakland's rush defense has actually been good this year, so
I'm staying far away from it.
Yeah, I would stay far away from that backfield. Sit all of them. Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones. It's been week to week as to which one really goes off and has a good week.
Yeah.
Kenny Golladay just had his, so if we're going with trends, Marvin Jones is going to have his this week. But I would say both are reasonable starts. And then if you want to saddle up the Hawk,
bro, poor Hawk, man.
Yeah,
he only has 2 touchdowns this year. It should
and
be
he's
like
dropped
5.
Yeah.
Well, he dropped 2.
Yeah.
And he was down at the goal line twice, so that's 4. And then he had one that was called back from penalties. So that would have been 5.
That's ridiculous.
Poor man.
Joshua Jacobs is a start this week against Lions. The Lions have one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL. So Josh Jacobs is in line for a really, really good week. But every time we say that, he gets 9 points. So,
yeah, but I do really like him this week.
Tyrell Williams.
Tyrell.
I would start him this week. He keeps the touchdown streak going, and Walrus has become a start every week.
I don't disagree.
Packers at Chargers, 47-point over/under. Let me see if I can find that game now.
It's a 425 game.
Rodgers against Chargers.
Rodgers. I mean, that's kind of what
That's
it is.
what I meant to say, and I felt like I said it wrong. Oh, my God. Aaron Rodgers has 2,324 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in the first half of the year. He's on pace for another 4,800 yard season, 32 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions.
And Devontae Adams has only played in
Lord.
3 games.
That's insane. Is Adams? Well, we'll get to that later. But Rodgers is a start against the Chargers. Against the Chargers this week. I keep messing it up. But I'm not really messing up and saying the right things. Phillip Rivers. Some teams still own him for some reason.
Isn't a terrible matchup.
Yeah, it's gonna be high scoring, I would think.
If you have a quarterback on a bye or who's injured, like Mahomes, I think he could be a reasonable option.
Yep. Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams both deserve a start against Los Angeles. At this point, with Jamal Williams being the perfect number 2 running back for some strange reason. It's working. It makes me mad, but it's working.
It is.
Imagine if Aaron Jones had the full workload.
Oh, gosh.
He would be a monster.
He'd be like McCaffrey.
He's
still
a monster.
Yeah.
But Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams both saddle him up. I don't know if you disagree with that.
No.
Austin Eckler, I think, is a good play this week, and Melvin Gordon obviously should start. Keenan Allen has been struggling. Do you like him?
I think you still got to start him. I mean,
yeah,
he would have to have I know it's been 3 weeks in a row now where he's
the big problem for him has been the touchdown output, because through the right now, if you pay
that whole Chargers offense has been brutal.
Oh yeah, it's been awful.
They're getting in the teens for points every week.
Oh yeah.
I think they beat the Bears this week 16-17 or something like that. So
Keenan Allen, if he starts catching more touchdowns, is going to get back to Keenan Allen, but he just started off so hot, and then he's been so bad as of late. Mike Williams, if you own him, probably should sit. Keep him on your bench. Hunter Henry, start. Is Adams playing?
The last I saw is yes, that he's expected to make his return this week.
Good.
But I can look it up.
If obviously he plays, you start him. Scantling and Alan Lazard, sit them both. And Jimmy Graham against Los Angeles, he might be okay starting him. Let's move on to Browns at Broncos. We're running out of time here because of our mock draft. Baker Mayfield has been awful. He yelled at a reporter this week. He's in line for an awful game. Never start him again. My God, people drafted him as a top 5 quarterback. This is why you don't draft quarterbacks in the top 5 people.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And Patrick Mahomes is hurt. The only guy that really has worked out from the top 5 is Deshaun Watson. Obviously Mahomes is going to work out.
Yeah,
And then I guess B. Allen. I don't even know your first name, bro.
B. Allen.
Yeah, B. Allen.
Barry Allen?
I don't know, but he's not going to be worth a start. Nick Chubb, start. Phillip Lindsay, Royce Freeman. I'm okay starting both of these guys against the Browns. I don't know if you disagree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's fine.
He's like, it's fine.
I'm not crazy about it.
Do you like Cortland Sutton?
This week, I was on the train, and then Flacco was out 5+ weeks, so no.
Yeah, Deshaun Hamilton in the slot.
I'm probably not starting any of the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm not going to start any of the Broncos receivers, but Deshaun Hamilton might. I've talked about him being a deeper ad. I think
he looked okay. I mean,
Hamilton in the slot with a rookie quarterback is not a bad situation.
Yeah.
Odell, start. Jarvis Landry, do you like him against Broncos? No.
No, not really.
Ricky Seals-Jones.
He would be having a good year if he had more than 0 touchdowns, though.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. Patriots at Ravens, 44.5 over under. Tom Brady has been, I don't know, this fine wine that never dies.
He's a top 12 fantasy quarterback, I think.
So would you start him against Baltimore?
I'll get to that later.
Okay. Lamar Jackson is going out against the New England Patriots. And I have some hot takes about the Baltimore Ravens defense that I will also, I believe, get to later.
Okay.
But let me just check. I would start Lamar Jackson this week and be okay with it. Yeah, he's going to have the rushing. It's more specifically the rushing.
I agree with that. I don't think he's going to explode. Obviously, Patriots defense has been ridiculously good this year.
Yep.
But historically, they do struggle against running quarterbacks. I think he can rush for 100 yards, and that alone will get him like the 15 to 20 points you need for him to be a decent start.
Yeah. Sony Michel has been I don't even know how you want to define him.
Not great.
Not great. With Brex Burkhead back, I thought Burkhead might take a lot of the red zone work, but if Sony Michel keeps, getting the red zone work, there's no real reason why you shouldn't be starting him.
He had, Burkhead played last week, right?
Yes.
And Michelle still had 21 carries.
Yeah, I mean, they want to go with Michelle.
Unfortunately, he didn't have a single catch, and he had 74 yards. The last 3 weeks, he's rushed for 3.9, 2.2, and 3.5 yards per
He's
carry.
basically Derrick Henry without the named value.
Yeah.
Or the 30-point week. Yeah, I would play Sony Michel this week. No other running backs. Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, all of them are sits to me. Okay. I think I'll talk about that a little bit later. No, I don't.
But I will.
Okay. And then I'll say Julian Edelman is an okay start. Benjamin Watson, don't start him if you have him.
No, I'm not.
I know there are teams that have him and are excited about him, but I don't know why. Marquise Brown makes his return. Don't play him. And then Mark Andrews, this is where my hot take comes in, so I'll talk about him later because a lot of people are going to want to start him. So let's move on to the final game, Cowboys, unless you have anything else to talk about that game.
Nope. That's
Cowboys at Giants. The over-under for this game is 48, so relatively high scoring. Who's going to score the 48 points here? Which team? I don't know. Probably Dallas.
But I mean,
oh boy. Dak is a start this week. Daniel Jones is a sit.
Yep.
Any arguments with that? Dak's probably a top 3 quarterback this week. I would say. Last time he scored week 1, he scored 37 against
at home.
The Giants. At
home.
On
the road on a Monday night could be a little
Are we really scared of the Giants in their home stadium?
Monday night in primetime?
Monday night games are actually in prime time are actually better for players than Thursday night football.
Well, historically, is it better for Dak though?
I don't know. Great question.
I don't think it is. I could be wrong.
Dak's a good start though. And then you got Zeke and Saquon, the battle of the running backs. Start both of them and be okay with it. Let's talk about something a little more interesting. Amari Cooper. I am losing my voice right now. Amari Cooper and Golden Tate for the Giants. Are they both starts this week?
Amari Cooper for the Cowboys, you mean?
Amari Cooper for the Cowboys, yes, and then Golden Tate for the Giants.
Amari Cooper, I think, is an obvious start.
Golden Tate for the Giants.
He's a little less obvious, but I am starting him.
Okay. Gallup for the Cowboys, you like him?
It's not a bad matchup. So, again, there's a lot of bye weeks. So, if you need him, play him.
Yep.
But not crazy. Not crazy about him.
I am going to ask, Darius Slayton has had some good games. He's been in the slot in replace of Sterling Shepard. If Sterling Shepard returns, Slayton becomes worthless.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I'm not starting Sterling Shepard this week. If he does come back, I'm not really excited about it. He's been out for a while. I would sit him for 1 week and see what happens. Ingram start, and then Jason Witten. He had a couple of good weeks at the beginning of the season, but he's been non-existent since then.
Yeah.
They like to
when they get this week though.
When they get in the red zone, they like to do these. They like to run these little creative goal line plays for Jason Witten, where they fake it to somebody, get everyone going one direction. Jason Witten's wide open for a touchdown. A touchdown's all you need for a tight end. Against the Giants, there's not a better play for Jason Witten. So if you need a tight end this week because yours is on a bye, Jason Witten is a good play. That'll do it for all of our breakdowns. Let's move into our starts and sits. We don't have a lot of time left, so rapid fire. But I will start with my quarterbacks. Matt Stafford against Oakland. This is a joint. It's a joint track. You changed.
I mean, it's partly joint, but I have another guy.
Okay, all right.
I was ready for this.
Matthew Stafford against Oakland. We talked about him a little bit earlier. He's a great play against Oakland. I think this is another week where he could probably get like 25 to 30. So he's a safe play if you need a streaming quarterback. And the question is, does Derek Carr continue to try to match that pace? If he does, then Stafford
has been very good the last few weeks.
And then set Kyler Murray against San Francisco. Yep. I know you love Kyler. I know you want to start him. I know I love Kyler too. He's probably going to end up being a top 12 quarterback. But against San Francisco on Thursday Night Football, it's just a bad
He might not because he has to play San Fran twice this year.
Yeah.
Still. For me, other than Matt Stafford, who I agree with, I have another guy, Gardner Minshew. I know, a little crazy, but other than the 1 week against the Saints, where unfortunately I believed in him, he scored 4 points. Mm-hmm. Other than that 1 week, he has gotten 19, 17, 19, 18, 23, 22, 26. Every single week, he's a start. This week against Houston, they ranked 27th against the pass. They just lost J.J. Watt for the season. It's at home. I like Gardner Minshew this week to get 20-plus points.
Wow. Sit.
It's Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the number 7th ranked quarterback, and he's Tom Brady, so you're probably going to start him.
Yep.
But I don't like it at Baltimore in primetime. Historically, he's struggled against Baltimore.
Yeah.
And John Harbaugh. He's had a few games this season where he's been kind of like saved fantasy-wise with a late touchdown. But he's also struggled. He hasn't really struggled on the road, but he's been better at home than he has on the road.
Obvious.
So he's at Baltimore, Sunday Night Football. I don't love Tom Brady this week.
I'm going to start Austin Eckler against Green Bay this week. It's an obvious situation where people are going to be like, oh, my God, I'm going to start Melvin Gordon. But Austin Eckler, I think this week is going to be very good against Green Bay, so I would start him.
Okay.
David Montgomery, my man's, is coming off the game of his NFL career, 100 and some odd yards and a touchdown, and I felt really good, but now he's going up against Philly. Set him.
Oh.
One of the best rush defenses in the NFL. You got to sit David Montgomery.
Yeah. For me, my start of the week at running back is Tevin Coleman.
Okay.
He's playing the Cardinals on Thursday night, which the Cardinals have blown on defense this season. Mm-hmm. Tevin Coleman is coming off a week where he had 103 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he had 9.5 yards per carry. I expect them to use him a little bit more against Arizona this week. There's also a good chance. I haven't seen the latest reports, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think Matt Breida might not play tonight. And if that happens, then Coleman's a really good option.
Yeah.
And even if he does play, I think Coleman should be a good start. My sit is Mark Ingram. Again, back to the Patriots-Ravens game where I think it's going to be pretty low scoring.
Yep.
The Patriots defense, I mean, there's not too much to say here. It's just been so dominant. Mm-hmm. Ingram last week didn't do well either. I think he had like 3 points. I'll look it up real quick.
Yep.
He had, in half PPR, he had 5 points, so that's not terrible.
Yep.
In Seattle. But I can see a similar game in half PPR where he only gets like 7 to 8 points this week. I'm
going to say start for my wide receiver, DJ Chark against Houston. Going to your point on Gardner Minshew, I think Chark is going to have his touchdown.
My boy, DJ Chark.
I think he's going to catch a touchdown this week and have a good week against Houston. And then sit Terry McLaurin against Buffalo. McLaurin has a new rookie quarterback potentially starting this week. and he hasn't had that connection with Dwayne Haskins that Case Keenum has had with McLaren. So I'm going to say sit him against Buffalo, one of the toughest against the pass this year.
To go to your point with Matt Stafford, my start of the week at wide receiver is Kenny Golladay / Marvin Jones. You probably don't have both of them, so if you own one of these two guys, I think they're must starts.
Yep.
Again, as you said, I think Matt Stafford is going to have a big week this week, high scoring against Oakland, who ranked 27th against receivers in fantasy this season. Golladay is also coming off a big week.
Yeah.
I can see him doing it again this week. And my sit is DJ Moore. Look, he hasn't been great anyway this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're like, man, I drafted DJ Moore expecting him to be a breakout. I want to play him this week.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing the Titans, who have shut down receivers this year with Malcolm Butler and Logan Ryan as their corners. They have a very underrated defense. Kyle Allen's been And DJ Moore's had an okay season, but I don't see him having a big week this week.
And finally, my start at tight end is the Walrus, Darren Waller versus Detroit.
Walrus.
And then sit tight end Mark Andrews versus New England. That is what I don't think it's a hot take, but no. Mark Andrews started off the season very hot, and he has come down to earth. And against New England, they're probably not going to give up too much to the tight end position. So I'm going to say sit Mark Andrews against New England, even though you probably want to start him.
Yeah, for me, my sit of the week at tight end is Eric Ebron against Pittsburgh. He's just too touchdown dependent. I know it's your boy. And my start of the week at tight end is Hunter Henry against the Packers, who ranked 26th against tight ends.
Yeah.
And Hunter Henry missed a lot of time, so people are like, oh, he hasn't. Like, he's only the 11th ranked tight end, but he missed 5 games or 4 games. And in the games he's played this year in half PPR, he has 8, 26, 12, and 7.
Wow.
So he's been pretty consistent, and in a good matchup, I could see him getting double-digit points.
There you have it. Week 9 starts and sits. That'll do it for our starts and sits and matchup breakdowns for Week 9. Happy Halloween, everyone.
I'm going to go out and inhale some candy.
Yeah.
Probably die.
I'll try to eat an apple.
I'm gonna gain 100 pounds. Oh, wow, you clown! You're gonna.
I'm an elderly.
You're gonna. You know what?
No, dude.
Are you the person that hands out like toothbrushes?
I got this. Yeah. I'm handing out toothbrushes on Halloween. I ruin kids' nights. Don't forget to check out our website at thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Enjoy your week, Fantasy Champs.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter at TheFFChamps.